Hey, Blue Jays fans, welcome to the Jays Latest. I am your host, Craig Bourne, and wow, do we have a big one to talk about. Out of the blue today. Holy shnikes. Did not see this one coming. We talked about this as a wonderful, could be, should be, would fit the Blue Jays perfectly kind of thing. And wow, did it happen. So, this is what is happening. The Toronto Blue Jays have signed top free agent Dylan Cease. And this is a very fun time to be a Blue Jays fan when you get that kind of a news on a just before American Thanksgiving evening. And so I'm very surprised in the midst of this being that because the Blue Jays office, obviously, with this signing, jumped to probably having one of the best rotations in Major League Baseball, getting the strikeout king that is Dylan Cease. $210 million contract, 7-year deal. And this is reported by Jeff Passan, originally broke by John Heyman, which surprises me. But to that point, it's happened. And the Blue Jays clearly are not resting on their laurels. They're going to be diving all into this Major League Baseball offseason. And this is a big signing for this early in the offseason. That is a big contract for the Blue Jays to be guaranteeing they're going to have this fine man north of the border for 7 more years. The 30-year-old has been very good. He had a rough year this past season with the San Diego Padres, which had a whole entire rough year. But as far as that goes, I just can't say enough things about Dylan Cease with what he can do on a major league pitching mound. And even after an 8-12, 4.55 ERA this past year, his metrics, when you're actually talking about his raw stuff, is top tier. There's a reason he was in the top 10 Major League Baseball free agents and expected to be one of the higher paid free agents this off season. It's because he is a stud and he gets people out. 200 strikeouts over the last 5 seasons in Major League Baseball, and 3 of those were in the American League with a very crummy Chicago White Sox team. He even led the season in WAR in the American League that year with the White Sox. So I think that states a lot. And that was in 2022, so it was very recent. This is right on the heels of the Marcus Semien, Brandon Nimmo trade, all these crazy things going on. Dylan Cease moves and lands in Toronto on a deal that is going to guarantee that he is a Toronto Blue Jay for 7 years. So on that note, what does this do? This makes this rotation just completely bonkers. It's going to be a fun one. This puts him in the middle of this rotation with Kevin Gausman still anchoring out the ace role, Shane Bieber, Dylan Cease, obviously, and then Trey Savage and Jose Barrios. So that is a 5-man stud rotation of guys that have been all stars, and a guy that technically still qualifies as a rookie, but might have had the best rookie performance in a postseason, arguably ever, in a single game and entire collective in Trey Savage. So it'll be very intriguing to see where this rotation goes, and this strikes me as just one of those things that this is going to be very, very hard for other American League pitchers or hitters to be able to get around. And you got combinations of things. You have Dylan Cease, that's a slider guy. You have Kevin Gausman, who's a splitter guy. Then another splitter guy in Trey Savage. Barrios, more traditional curveball guy. Shane Bieber, back to the slide. And it's just a very, very good mix of speeds and movement of pitches. This can be very well architected and cut up to the point where the Blue Jays can be really keeping some of these American League and National League hitters on their toes and going from there. It'll be very, very interesting to see where it goes. So, next. Where does the rest of the offseason go after a big move like this? Blue Jays land a giant deal for a 30-year-old who's going to be on this team, anchoring after possibly this season when Gausman's in his last season. Barrios, I believe, has 2 more. And then Shane Bieber's only on the 1-year player option deal that he re-signed on. So Dylan Cease and Trey Savage are the future at this point of the Blue Jays rotation post-2026. So that will be the point where we're going. But where does this put the rest of this offseason? I think I just gave you the hint. They don't have a ton of pitching locked up post 2026. So I don't think this actually puts a pause on anything. If anything, it actually puts a start to it, in my personal opinion. The Blue Jays have been looking at Tatsuya Amaya, and I think that that is a very sneaky move if they were able to pull that off and bring him north of the border to compete on this team, because this whole rotation, if you still have Barrios at the opening day or he comes back healthy, this means Amai doesn't have to be the guy. He doesn't have to jump in and be the Yoshinobu Yamamoto or Roki Sasaki on opening day. He can just kind of glide in and do his thing and get ready and settled. And it will be very intriguing. I think this keeps them plenty of money for Bo Bichette because of those books I just told you about. You're going to lose money off of the books after 2026. So you're really putting up or shutting up for this running it back to the World Series year here in 2026. And I think that is what spells the equation here. This is the Blue Jays jumping in on this as early as they wanted to be. They saw Dylan Cease as the guy that they wanted to get, and they went out and got him. They paid him plenty and handsomely to do it, but he is coming north of the border to be able to do all the best things that he can do, and that's the point, I think. This sends a message to the rest of Major League Baseball that the Blue Jays are all in on 2026. Watch out, Dodgers. That's all I'm going to say because we are running it back. They're going to go after more than this. And it would not shock me that with this move this early, the pocketbook is finally completely open in Toronto for them to do what they need to do to ensure the fact that they do indeed run it back. So, Blue Jays fans, hit us up in the comments. You psyched? You upset? What do you got on the Dylan Cease move? We want to hear from you. Hit us up in the comments, and we will talk all things baseball right here in Toronto Blue Jays fandom as much as humanly possible. Make sure you check out Jaybird Watching Podcast. We talked about this also in depth tonight, along with having some fun on the fact that we were just, who's had the best single season, random seasons in Blue Jays history. We had a fun time with chatting with our fans and everything, and it was really fun. I highly recommend checking out. And then our 500th episode, December 4th. Make sure you check that out. We have former Blue Jay Travis Snyder and a surprise guest. So we're going to have fun. Talk to you soon. And as always, let's go Blue Jays.